We got a great guest for you guys. His name is Rob Weissman. He's the president of Public Citizen. He's also a director of the corporate accountability organization Essential Action. He's the editor of Multinational Monitor, et cetera, et cetera. He's got a long resume. Rob, welcome to the Young Turks. How are you?
Good. It's great to be with you.
All right, Rob, talk to me about Public Citizen and what you guys do.
Well, we're a Ralph Nader-founded organization. We're based here in Washington, D.C. We were founded 40 years ago, going strong, taking on corporate power.
How's that going for you?
Well, we're doing okay. We win some small victories that make a big difference in people's lives, but obviously the corporations are increasing their grip over the economy and the politics and the culture. So we've got a lot of work ahead of us.
All right, I want to get.
But we try to give you, try to keep some material going for you.
No, I hear you. Listen, I want to get to the broad answers in a second, but let's do some specifics. Right now, the corporations are, through their spokespeople, otherwise known as the Republicans, and by the way, 80% of the Democrats, are saying, hey, you know what? You need to ease up on regulations. If you give us certainty that we won't have any regulations, we will be able to create more jobs. Why do you not believe them?
Well, because it's a lie. The reason that corporations aren't investing is because there's no demand in the economy. It's exactly what you were just talking about. If there was demand in the economy, corporations would be investing. There are no more serious level of regulations now than there were 3 years ago when investment levels were high. There's no empirical or academic literature that's at all serious that suggests regulations undermine investment or job creation. And in fact, we know with the level of certainty that the reason we have such a serious jobs crisis is because of the massive regulatory failures that led up to the Wall Street crash.
Okay, so Rob, as we look at that, and we can get into 100 different details, which we have on this show and you guys have in your materials, as to why all of the arguments about how lower taxes lead to more jobs it's so nonsensical, right? I mean, I just give one for the audience. Over the last 10 years, we've had massive tax cuts and we've lost 1 million jobs. During the Clinton years, we had tax increases. We gained 22 million jobs. So it's nearly indisputable, right? Having said that, no one in Washington believes it. So talk to me about why there's this enormous disconnect between reality, facts, and what the people in Washington are pushing for. Right now, you've got not just Republicans, but a lot of Democrats and oftentimes the president pushing for more tax cuts and more spending cuts.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the same story, and to bring it back to the regulatory piece, there is responsiveness to the big donors. I mean, there's an ideological piece for the Republicans. There's mixed ideology on the Democratic side, but an eagerness to court the big corporate donors. So there's just no serious argument that regulatory uncertainty or regulatory burdens or whatever tag words they want to use contribute at all in any significant way to the jobs problem in this country. And serious people know that. But the Chamber of Commerce, over a year ago, launched a major effort to claim exactly the contrary. They've got a giant banner on their building, which is right across from the White House, saying jobs, and they are relentless in pushing this line, and they get a lot of echoes from their allies in the Republican Party, and as you say, too many in the Democratic Party, and even not infrequently from the White House, and it begins to take hold.
So,
at
Rob,
least in Washington. I think outside of Washington, people get this, and if you point out to people that we have a jobs crisis because of the Wall Street crash, and everyone understands that crash is due very directly to regulatory failures, they get it.
Right. So, Rob, let's talk one more step about the problem, and then I want to talk about the solution. Look, if you go to a Democrat and you say, hey, listen, schmuck of the world, right? Look at the Clinton numbers, look at the Bush numbers on tax cuts. When you look at deregulation, no one who has a decent understanding of what happened during the Wall Street debacle in 2008 could possibly claim because it was too much regulation. That just makes no logical sense whatsoever. Again, we've shown that 100 times. When they say, hey, you know what, if we just give the companies another tax break, which of course today the Treasury Department under Obama, Tim Geithner, is pushing for again, that doesn't make any sense because they're sitting on $2.9 trillion in cash. It's not that they don't have enough cash, is that they won't create jobs with it. When you tell Republicans are okay, they're corporate robots. I got it, man. If you tell them that, they say, I do not care. The job creators need jobs, need more money. I know. But when you tell a Democrat that, what is his lie? What is his excuse for pretending to do the right thing and then doing the wrong thing and agreeing with the Republicans anyway?
Well, because they're very complicated people, and they understand the deep nuances in the policy, and they're not going to go for simplistic answers. And of course, they don't exactly agree with the Republicans, except for sort of. So yeah, maybe the tax breaks shouldn't be quite as serious. Maybe they should be more targeted tax breaks. Maybe we don't want to roll back regulation across the board, but there are problems in certain areas. And I heard this story from this one guy in my state who told me this, blah blah blah. So that's the rationalization we get.
What do you think it is, Rob? Okay, so that's the rationalization. But Rob, what do you think it is? Do you think they're just taking the same corporate? They don't believe this. They're just taking the same corporate money. That's it.
Absolutely. I think especially from the administration, and there is a real effort to try to position to, if not eliminate, lessen the opposition from the Chamber of Commerce, and to bring a lot of the corporate and deep-pocket individual donors over to the Obama campaign for 2012. I don't think there's any real doubt about that.
All right, so Rob,
and you got Bill Daley running the White House, and that's only making things worse.
Yeah, Bill Daley. I mean, this perfect, corporate shill within the Democratic Party, now chief of staff for Obama, of course. So let's get to the solution then. And God help us all, right? The solution under all proposals will be incredibly difficult given how much this virus has taken over our body politic. Having said that, what's your thoughts? How in the world do we roll this back?
Well, it's what you've been getting at. I mean, we have to overcome the kind of lunatic blanket that's laying over Washington, D.C., that's been laid there by the corporate interests, and bring people outside of the Beltway who understand what's going on, which is, I think, most of the country actually, and give them ways that make sense to them, that they can actually affect policy, and then have them do it. I mean, in terms of the policy pieces, as you say, these things really aren't that complicated. Spend on infrastructure, give money to the states, they don't have to fire teachers, keep people employed when they're able to do work and there's work to be done, and get the economy going that way. That's
Rob, we can't win.
For dealing with the economy right now.
No, we can't win on any of those individual issues until we get over the problem that all the money for the politicians come from, or not all, but a great majority of the money come from corporations. So if they're the ones signing their paycheck, we're going to lose on all those. And it doesn't matter how right we are. We could be the most right any human being has ever been, and we'll still lose because they're not interested in who's right. They're interested in who's signing their paycheck. So how do we get the corporations to stop signing their paycheck?
Well, I don't think we can drop everything and say it's all about the money in politics. Even if that's true, you got to do the other stuff too. And sometimes, actually, if you can bring enough power to bear, we can still win. That said, it's not a matter of convincing the corporations, of course, to stop making investments in politics, which, by the way, they are very willing to make investments in politics, even if they're not willing to make investments in the economy, because it pays off really well. We have to have rules that forbid legalized bribery from corporations or rich people, and that's going to be a big hill to climb.
All right. So, Rob, by the way, we have finally reached a bit of a disagreement. I think that we're going to lose on 95% of issues, and I'm being generous here, if we don't win on that single issue of campaign finance reform. Because what have we won on? I mean, even when we had a Democratic president, Democratic House and Senate, and filibuster approvals, what did we win on? What did progressives win on?
Well, I'm not going to make the case against campaign finance reform, getting money out of politics. So right. I decline to answer.
Okay, fair enough. So finally, Rob, what do you think? Like, my idea is maybe we go after corporate personhood, right? But I know a lot of smart people who are on our side who say, look, that's either too tough or it runs into some problems. It's too tough a hill to climb. What's your sense? If we did let's say that in your ideal world, well, I don't want to say in your ideal world, I want to say in the real world, if we went for an amendment on taking away corporate personhood, do you think that's a good idea, or is there a problem with it?
No, I mean, we think Citizens United was a landmark decision that has to be undone. The corporate personhood issue you're talking about is bigger than Citizens United, but Citizens United is the pinnacle of the problem. So we are huge supporters and devoting as much effort as we possibly can to build a movement to overturn that decision and take away the idea that corporations should be treated like people under the First Amendment. Of course, that's going to be a long-term fight. We think it's worth doing that, not just because it's right on principle, but because it galvanizes people and because it can help us build a movement that can win on things along the way, both on the money in politics and on other issues. We think it crystallizes the issue of corporate power and problems that stem from excessive corporate control in our society. And we're happy that you're helping lead the fight on this.
Hey, Rob, one last question here. What do you think the state of the American people are on that issue? If we went down to Kansas and said, hey, listen, we think the big corporations, big business has too much power, and I think they're hurting our democracy. Would the Rush Limbaughs of the world and the Fox News channels, do you think, be able to beat us in Kansas on an issue like that by saying, oh, no, big businesses just loves you and is all voluntarily going to do the right thing, and these are liberal, whatever we are, Maoist or something? Or do you think it'll resonate and they go, hey, you know what, I've seen big business screw me over, and I think that they do have too much power? Who do you think wins that fight?
No, I mean, when you pose the straight question, do corporations have too much power? People understand it, and it's not just sort of my sense or my advocacy. There's endless polling. You see numbers well over 80%, sometimes 90, 92% of the country saying corporations have too much power, they've got too much power in Washington. Those are just unbelievable numbers. By way of contrast, about 80% of the public believes that the earth revolves around the sun, and the rest believe the opposite. So when you get up to 90%, you have unbelievable consensus in the country. So people agree with this. The big question is getting them to believe that they can actually do something about it, that there are real venues for moving forward. People are whispering to me and telling me that I should say one way that they can do that is by connecting up with us, a public citizen. And a way to do that is to go to our website, democracyisforpeople.org.
All right, fair enough. That's why we brought you on, Rob, to get your message out as well, of course. So Rob Weissman from Public Citizen, thanks so much for joining us on the Young Turks, and we look forward to the battlefield where we will hopefully try to galvanize those folks and get them to understand the problems that you and I just talked about.
Great talking to you.